you ever learned about something and then suddenly started seeing it everywhere? Maybe it was a car, a word, a song, a profession, a country you had barely heard of before. For years it seemed invisible. Then one day someone mentions it, you notice it, and suddenly it is everywhere. You see it online. You hear people talking about it. You notice it in conversations, videos, ads, movies, and eventually you start wondering, wait, was this always here? Because it genuinely feels like the world changed overnight. Maybe a friend buys a Tesla. A week later, it feels like half the city drives one. Maybe someone teaches you a word you have never heard before. Now it shows up in articles, podcasts, and conversations. Maybe someone tells you about a career you have never considered. Now people with that job seem to appear everywhere. And the strange thing is, the feeling can be impossible to shake. So before we go any further, think of your example, the thing that suddenly appeared everywhere. Keep it in your mind, because by the end of this video, that example might reveal something much bigger than you think. What is fascinating about this phenomenon is how universal it is. Almost everyone has a story. You ask enough people and you'll hear some version of the same thing. I never noticed it before. Then suddenly it was everywhere. And that is what makes it so strange, because the feeling isn't I noticed it a few times. The feeling is it appeared out of nowhere. Think about the thing you are holding in your mind right now. The car, the word, the profession, whatever it was, for years it felt invisible. Then suddenly it felt unavoidable. And that is where the mystery begins. Because deep down most people know the thing probably existed before. The Tesla didn't suddenly appear. The word was not invented yesterday. The profession was not created overnight. So why does it feel like it arrived out of nowhere? Why did your brain ignore it for years, then suddenly decide it mattered? And if your brain can completely ignore something that is right in front of you, what else might it be ignoring? Because the answer starts with something your brain is doing every second of every day. Right now, there are probably hundreds of things around you that you are not paying attention to, maybe thousands. The color of every parked car outside, every sound in the distance, every object in the room, every face you have passed today, every word on every sign. Your brain simply can't process everything. If it tried, life would be overwhelming. Imagine walking through a crowded city while consciously noticing every conversation, every face, every movement, every advertisement, every sound. You had be exhausted within minutes. So your brain filters constantly, relentlessly, without asking permission. Most of reality never reaches your awareness. Not because it is not there, because your mind has decided it is not important. And that is the strange thing. The world around you is far richer than the world you actually experience. Think about the thing from the beginning. The car, the word, the profession. For years, your brain quietly filtered it out. Not because it was rare, not because it was hidden, because it was not relevant. And all it takes is one small change. For something invisible to become impossible to ignore. Imagine your friend buys a Tesla. You never cared about Teslas before. You could not have named the model. You did not pay attention to them. Then your friend buys one. 3 days later, it feels like every third car on the road is a Tesla. Did the city secretly fill itself with Teslas overnight? Of course not. They were already there. You just never had a reason to notice them. The moment something becomes relevant, your attention changes, and attention is incredibly powerful. Think about expecting an important text message. Suddenly every notification gets your attention. Think about planning a vacation. Now travel advertisements seem everywhere. Think about learning guitar. Now guitars appear in videos, stores, conversations, and songs. The world did not change. Your attention did. But here is the part most people miss. The weird part is not that you started seeing it. The weird part is realizing how long it was there before you noticed it. Think about that for a second. The thing that suddenly became obvious was probably around you the entire time. And that realization leads to a much bigger question. What else is right in front of you right now that you still can't see? This is where the topic becomes surprisingly deep. Most people assume they experience reality directly, But they don't. None of us do. We experience a filtered version of reality. Think about how many cars you pass every week, how many faces you see, how many conversations you overhear, how many opportunities cross your path. Most of them never enter awareness. Your mind selects, sorts, filters, prioritizes, then presents a tiny fraction to your conscious attention, which means something strange. Two people can walk through the exact same environment and experience completely different worlds. One person notices business opportunities, another notices problems. One notices fashion, another notices architecture. One notices dogs, another notices investment ideas. The environment is identical, attention is different, and attention quietly shapes experience. Remember the thing from the beginning? 5 years ago, it felt invisible. Today it feels obvious. And maybe that is revealing something much bigger than a word, a car, or a profession. Right now, there are probably dozens of things around you that you have never consciously noticed. A pattern, a skill, an opportunity, a possibility. Tomorrow, one conversation could make one of them impossible to ignore. Just like the thing you are thinking about now. And that is why this phenomenon is so fascinating. Because it reveals something people rarely think about. The things we repeatedly notice begin feeling larger, more common, more important, more present, even when nothing actually changed. Someone becomes interested in fitness. Now fitness seems everywhere. Someone starts a business. Now entrepreneurs seem everywhere. Someone becomes interested in psychology. Now psychology appears in books, videos, podcasts, and conversations. The world has not transformed. Their awareness has, and the life you experience is shaped not only by what is around you, but by what your attention allows you to see, which leads to perhaps the most important realization in this entire video. Remember that thing from the beginning, the one that suddenly seemed to appear everywhere. Maybe the most interesting question is not why you started noticing it. Maybe the more important question is what else is already there, waiting for your attention? How many opportunities have you ignored because they did not seem relevant yet? How many ideas? How many skills? How many people? How many possibilities? Right now, there are probably things in your life you have walked past hundreds of times without truly seeing. Not because they were not there, because your attention had not selected them yet. And maybe that is one of the strangest things about being human. The things we notice grow larger. The things we ignore almost disappear. Remember the thing you thought about at the beginning of this video, the Tesla, the word, the profession, the thing that suddenly seemed to appear everywhere. Maybe the world did not become full of it overnight. Maybe it was quietly there the entire time, waiting for your attention. And maybe that is the real lesson. The most important thing isn't the car, or the word, or the profession. It is realizing how much of life stays invisible until you are ready to see it. Because the same thing might be true for opportunities, relationships, ideas, even versions of yourself. Sometimes they were never missing. You just were not looking for them yet. And maybe that is what makes this phenomenon so fascinating. Not that it changes reality, but that it reveals how much of reality was there all along. And I can almost guarantee something happened while you watched this video. One specific example stayed in your mind the entire time. The thing that suddenly started appearing everywhere in your life. So what was it? A car? A word? A hobby? A job? A place? I genuinely love to read those stories, because almost everyone has one. And once you notice it, you can never quite stop seeing it. And if you enjoy exploring the hidden psychology behind attention, perception, and human behavior, stay here.